dear God.
And with that, I'd like to welcome you to the I Am Vinyl podcast. My name is Pete LaRussa, and beside me here, once again, is Joey from the Rock Strikes 10 podcast, along with a special guest, his new cat.
Hi, how are you? I am such a podcaster. Cat
We're here,
interrupting audio.
so we're here today, and we're following up our episode from last month, Record Store Day 2021, Drop 1. Today we're focusing on Record Store Day 2021, Drop number 2, which took place on July 17th,
Just
2000.
rolls off the tongue, doesn't it?
Oh, yeah. It's very easy. It's as easy as trying to do a podcast with a cat hanging out around you.
Yeah. Hey, cat videos are big on the internet still, so I mean this could only help views. So
Can't dispute that. So why don't we just get right into the records?
sure, let's
All
do
right.
it, man. Let's talk some music, because I've been talking kitty litter all week, so I'm really desperate to talk about records.
All right. Well, that's what we're here for. So let's do it. And I'm going to start with my first pick. And it's a record that Joey and I actually were hoping for. And we mentioned in our Black Friday 2020 episode that I ran back there and grabbed the CD when we were talking about the Beastie Boys' Some Old Bullshit white vinyl release. And we asked for it. And holy shit, we fucking got it. Beastie Boys, Aglio e Olio on clear vinyl, and this has a bonus track, their cover of The Doors' Light My Fire. And as I said on my post when I opened and spun this record for the first time, it's only odd in that it just really doesn't really fit on this record. It's a cool bonus track, but being this is an old hardcore record, or EP at the time, if you want to call it that, it's very oddly in place here, but it's a very cool addition.
Yeah. The other thing that makes that a head scratcher, I will go over the positive first. Well, actually, before I get started on that, can we do a little tribute here? I mean, I don't think you said the band name right. We got do a little tribute to a fallen legend out from your neck of the woods,
Oh,
the
yeah.
Beastie Boys.
Yeah, and I have done that on prior episodes of the podcast where I featured Beastie Boys. So
Yeah.
I think one of the earlier episodes when we first started the podcast. So yeah, I do agree with that sentiment. Rest in peace, Biz Markie. He was a very big part of the Beastie Boys legacy.
Yeah, he's practically family, and that of course, one of the things that I was playing over and over again when that happened was him doing Benny and the Jets with the Beastie Boys, playing the instruments. It's one of it might be in my top 10 cover songs of all time. If you haven't heard it, me describing it, it's as great as you think it is, plus more. But getting back to Aglio, I will say the head scratcher of this release. Now, the cool factor is that bonus track is not on the Japan CD import, which makes it an even cooler pressing that, hey, we got an extra song. Hey, it's a short album. Give us what we can at Record Store Day prices, because you know how that is.
Mm-hmm.
What is it, 25? It's not even 25 minutes. So what, 15 minutes?
Yeah, it's really short.
Anyway,
it's like
it's a short ass.
Really short.
I mean,
I feel like it's less than that. I feel like it's like around like 10 minutes.
Yeah, and I can't believe it wasn't on 45 speed. But anyway, all that being said, so the bonus track is a cover of Light My Fire, and it's kind of done Jose Feliciano style. It's it's got a little Spanish guitar on it. It's a jazz lounge version. So this takes away the initial thought I had, where my initial thing was like, hey, why didn't they put Big Shot on there? Their cover of Billy Joel's Big Shot, that crazy hardcore punk version of Big Shot, would make sense on this record. Because initially I was like, oh, maybe they didn't want to pay the rights for it. I'm sitting there going, wait a second, Light My Fire is also a cover. You tell me that thing is more or less expensive than Big Shot by Billy Joel would be equal if I had to think about it, especially considering Light My Fire is a big hit. Big Shot is a medium hit, and that's my favorite Billy Joel song, at least top 5. So that should be on there. That should be on there. I mean, even that live version, if that's the only one they can use, do it. Just freaking do it.
Billy's a New Yorker. Beastie Boys are New Yorkers.
Yeah. So I don't know what the deal is on that.
Good point.
But That's what if I'm armchair booking here, I think that's the obvious thing right there is to do that. And not for nothing, it's such a short record. If you want to add on to that even further, let's just put everything on one side, and maybe as a little bonus or boneski, maybe take either studio or live versions of the hardcore songs from that era. Check Your Head, Ill Communication, and make like a best of the hardcore jams and put that on the B side.
That's
So
that's something I didn't even think of either, and that's a
mhm,
really good point. I would love to see them combine like all of their hardcore stuff onto one release someday. That would be
yeah,
great.
yeah. So I feel like that was a bit of a missed opportunity. Um,
Or they,
so
they could be saving it for a future record store day, you know?
yeah,
I
maybe
mean, they
we'll
did it
see.
with
But
this, right? So,
yeah, maybe they'll do that, and then like I said, maybe it'll be studio on one side. I think most of those songs they did do live. I've even seen them do some of those songs live, and I saw them on TV shows, like they played Heart Attack Man on SNL. I'm thinking,
mm.
stuff like that. But yeah, they definitely played those live here and there at some point. So yeah,
Well, I looked it up really quick, and this is only 11 minutes without the bonus track. So, yeah.
so
Uh,
it's like 14-minute record. Yeah,
yeah.
7 minutes on each side. Probably should have been a 45 speed then. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway,
It
but
sounds
hey,
great.
it
It
does. It
definitely
does.
lived
Yeah.
up to my expectations. We were both waiting for this for a while, and the vinyl excels for sure as far as the sound quality. I just want to mention too that this was limited to 11,000 copies, and again, it's on clear vinyl. So I just wanted to mention that.
With 11,000 out there, if you are a big, huge fan of this record, it's a niche favorite. So you should have no problem getting a hold of one. And I think even as of right now, as of this recording, if you want it, you should be able to get it without getting upcharged so much. So go get it if you want it. Like, yeah, but you have to be a fan for sure.
So now the all important question in terms of this show and showcasing the vinyl: what song do you want to play from this? I know which one I want to play. I'm interested to see what you want to play.
Yeah, my pick is Soba Violence.
Oh, okay. Okay. Now it's funny, you picked the last song on side A, and I picked, well, excluding Light My Fire being the bonus track, the song right before it is one of my favorites that I Want Some.
Oh, that's a good one too. Yeah, absolutely.
Why don't we just fucking play them both?
Gee, do we have time? God,
I don't know. They could be a little long. They could run a little long. People
yeah.
might get
All right.
bored. They might want to move on to the next track or the next
Well,
podcast, but we don't want that to happen.
let's see
But
if
no.
we can keep their attention. Yeah.
Okay, yeah, let's play both. Let's play Sober Violence and I Want Some.
Hmm.
Sound good?
Yeah. And by the way, the guitar solo from the original Light My Fire takes longer than those two songs.
That's true. That's very true. Good point once again. All right, so we've wrapped up our discussion here on the Beastie Boys, Aglio e Olio. Let's move on
In
to
stereo.
Stereo. Yeah, there we go.
Yeah.
And let's move on to my second pick. And this is one I know that Joey did not purchase. However, I did. So it is an interesting one. It is the Cro-Mags, their 1986 album, Age of Quarrel, and the hype
To be
sticker.
fair, I didn't purchase it because they didn't want me to. So I didn't want to make them mad.
Okay, now for people who are not aware exactly what Joey was talking about, I was going to get into that, but we'll get into it now. And I'll just mention the band members here, most notably Harley Flanagan, John Joseph. They've been in, I guess, an ongoing, never-ending dispute with their old record label, Rock Hotel Records and Profile Records. And I don't claim to know everything about what's gone on between the band and the label. I just know that there's been this ongoing dispute. And when this record appeared on the record store day list back in April, I know I sent Joey a text that I was fucking shocked as hell because I had no clue. I didn't hear anything about any kind of negotiations or anything. This just appeared on the list, and I'm like, wow, really? There's been problems between the band and label for so long. I'm amazed that this is on the list. And I told Joey right away that's definitely going to be one of my picks that I wanted to get. So a couple months later, just before the June 12th record store day, like probably around a week before, I see an article appear on my Facebook feed, and it says Cro-Mag's Age of Quarrel to be pulled from the record store day list. And sure enough, I went and checked the record store day list, and it was gone. So the article just basically said that it was being pulled because of the ongoing dispute between the former band members and the record label. So, and I shouldn't say former band members, because Harley is still out there with his version of the Cro-Mags, and John Joseph is doing his own band with Blood Clot. So,
Okay. At least they're not, ratting it, or or what have you, LA Gunsing it. At least there's not two. Is there two Cro-Mags?
No, that went on for a while, I think.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Ugh.
I think there was a point where there were two different versions of the Cro-Mags, and I think they had to go into court to to settle who gets the name and who gets to use the name. So, but again, to any people watching that are the hardcore aficionados, I may not know everything about this, so I'm not even claiming to be an expert on what has gone on with this band and their record company and between each other with the infighting. But we're here to talk about the record, right?
Yeah,
So,
it's like, how's the record? Yes.
yeah. But I had to go into the stuff behind it because technically this wasn't even supposed to come out. And after June 12th, there were some articles going around that some copies made it to Canada for Record Store Day on June 12th. So copies got out. And out of curiosity, when I went to purchase my picks from Good Records, I just said, hey, if you guys get this Cro-Mags record, let me know. I'd like to purchase one.
You actually
Fair
drove
enough.
You actually drove to Canada and stood in line. They're very nice and accommodating because they're good people out there.
Yeah, sure.
What's your purpose for visit? I am here to buy a Cro-Mags record.
So it turns out Good Records got more than a handful of copies, and here we are. Now
That's
I got
why.
a copy in my hand.
That's why Good Records is the best. I recommend them if you're out there record shopping in the cyber world. GoodRecordsToGo.com. And if you're in the Dallas, Texas area, go look them up and tell them that the I Am Vinyl podcast sent you. We
Absolutely.
get no money by saying that. It's just, they're fans and they make sure that they get things like this in here. Look at that. That's
See, look at
beautiful.
that. So the hype
I want
sticker.
to go. I want to go bowling now. Look at that thing.
Yeah, let's
Oh,
go. The hype sticker, it says red, black, splatter vinyl, 180 gram. It's got its custom label there, which is really nice.
mushroom
And
cloud.
audio quality. As a fan of the record and someone who wanted this on vinyl for a really, really long time, wow, did this thing deliver? As far as the mastering and how it was pressed, just really, really great. Great.
And this is I will admit, this is one of those bands I've heard the name for I don't even know how long, at least 30 years I've heard this name.
Yeah, Dave.
And I've never gone in. It's just one of those things. It's like a movie that you intend to watch and then you just keep forgetting. So I'm excited to, I think I'm going to finally bite the bullet and listen to this damn record.
No,
But let's say it was coming out soon and you had your own radio station and you wanted to get me enticed as someone who needed that extra push to listen to the record. What's a good one that you would play? So I understand that you're a hardcore fan of this hardcore band in a hardcore world, but let's say you had a radio station.
okay.
What's your seller? Like what's the one that it's like, even if it's basic to fans, it may not be to someone like me. What do
Okay.
you play?
I like that angle. I like that angle because I was thinking of, preferred some favorites, but yeah, I'll go that route. I like that. Well, you, like me, watched Headbangers Ball every week, most of the time, I think. So
Yes.
there were points where they had the Frantic Fringe. Do you remember the Frantic Fringe
Oh
segment?
yeah. Looked forward to it because that's where you first started to see videos by Primus and Infectious Grooves and Mind Funk. If I can go a little deeper.
Yeah,
Nine Inch Nails, Fishbone.
and hardcore
I
bands.
mean, yeah, and hardcore
Agnostic
bands.
Front. They played Agnostic
Ma-
Front.
Madball. I still remember, or I think it was Madball, Madhouse, all of those Mad bands. Like,
You're thinking of Madball.
I am thinking of Madball. Okay,
Well,
yeah.
Yeah, Madball. They probably played Madball in like 94, 95 during
Yeah,
the last days of the show.
yeah,
Yeah.
that sounds right. Yeah, yeah. Anyway,
There,
yeah, continue.
there was a Frantic Fringe segment where they dug in their archives and they pulled out the video that was made and released from this record. So
Okay,
I think it's pretty simple. We would just go with the opening track. Go with "We Gotta Know." You might have
okay.
even heard it already. Like I said, if
I probably did.
if you've
So
seen the video, then you've at least heard it once. So we'll go with "We Gotta Know" on the Cro-Mags, "The Age of Quarrel." And I just want to mention that before it was pulled off,
fitting name, by the way, Age of Quarrel.
what's
With
that?
with all the dispute and everything, it's a fitting name, isn't it?
Oh yeah, I mean it's funny because one of the songs I was going to suggest is the last track on the album, "Sign of the Times." Fucking great song, but also
Okay.
these are the signs of the times is part of the song.
Yeah,
I mean, really, we're living in it right now, Age of Quarrel.
yeah, yeah.
So, and we're not going to get political. We're just merely mentioning it. So,
I was just talking about the band fighting with each other at that
oh yeah,
after a while. But yeah, we're also in that too, for sure. Yeah, yeah,
yeah, can't avoid it. That's the reality we're in
yeah,
right now. But I
yeah.
just wanted to mention that before this was taken off the list officially, it was listed as limited to 3,600 copies. So it
Okay.
seems like a lot of them did get out there. If you look in secondary market, there's a lot of copies available. So if you're a fan of the band and you were really looking for this one, definitely
No,
suggest it. Just don't get ripped off too badly.
yeah. Once again, you have no excuse. There should be plenty of copies out there still. Maybe as of this recording, not so much, but they may not be shooting through the moon just yet. Like
Yeah.
there's probably a few stores that are down to their last copy or two.
Mhm.
And if you can run into a cool store, like a Good Records, for instance, but there's others, yeah, sure. But they probably will actually sell it to you at sticker, which is you always know
Yeah.
who the cool stores are when they do that. Anyway.
So one last thing I want to say before we move on from the Cro-Mags Age of Quarrel is I know the band is obviously in dispute still with the record label Rock Hotel and Profile, and I'm sure they're not too thrilled that a lot of people like me and others have purchased these copies. They did try to get it completely removed. They got it removed from the record store day list. However, stores did receive copies. But one thing I'll say is original copies from =86, if you find them anywhere, and if they're even in great condition, they go for a lot of money. So just saying, it's just one of those things, when it was available, it's just impossible to pass up. It's one of the greatest hardcore records of all time, and I've wanted to own it on vinyl for a long time. So that's just one last thing I wanted to say about the Cro-Mags Age of Quarrel.
Well, I hope they get their stuff settled.
Yeah, me
And
too.
I guess if they ever get on the same page and get out the version they want, maybe they'll make it worth your while to rebuy it, which I know all of you will. Maybe throw
Yeah,
some bonus on there.
and
I
that's
don't know.
that's one thing I was going to say too is if they put it out again, I'll buy another copy. I have no problem buy another copy if they add some extra stuff, or if they don't, if maybe it's a different color, let's say. I would definitely
Or
support the band. I want these guys to make the money that's due to them, that they feel is due to them.
so you would buy it even if they re-recorded it.
Yeah, look, I mean, I've purchased the Sick of It All record that they did nonstop, where they did a bunch of re-records, and it's great. Look,
Yeah, I
a lot
like
of
Still
bands,
Hungry.
a lot of bands do re-records to a good degree of success, and some don't do it so much to a
Yeah,
good degree of
yeah.
success. But yeah, I mean, if the band were to settle their own personal differences and they decided to re-record the record, I would surely buy it. Absolutely.
All right. Yeah, I was just curious to see how far you'd take it. I'm always curious about those things. That lets me know where someone's at in a
Heard
fandom.
'em. All right, so why don't we get into our first music segment here? I'm gonna go back and get this bad boy here from the Beastie Boys and play "Sober Violence," Joey's
Yeah,
pick.
we're gonna do our own Frantic Fringe. It's a triple threat.
Yeah, there we
Yeah,
go. Good
yeah,
call. So
yeah.
"Sober Violence" and "I Want Some" from the Beastie Boys, "Aglio e Olio," to be immediately followed by the lead track from the Cro-Mags, "The Age of Quarrel," "We Gotta Know." All right, that That was some good shit from the Beastie Boys, from Aglio e Olio with Soba Violence and I Want Some, followed by the Cro-Mags from the Age of Quarrel with the opening track, We Gotta Know. And let's move on now to my next pick, which I also believe Joey did purchase as well. This was a record that I actually held off on purchasing for a while, and I'm glad I waited, because this edition is fucking incredible, just as far as how it looks, how it sounds, everything. I'm talking about Fear's debut, Fear the Record, and this one is pressed on multicolored vinyl, white translucent vinyl with gray, and it also comes with 7-inch, red vinyl 7-inch, and a stencil, the band logo. Right
Yeah.
here.
So we can hopefully start seeing them Fear logos pop up in a lot of places around town.
Yeah.
That'd be nice.
And this one is limited to 3,500 copies. So let me get the vinyl out here to show you.
Oh, by the way, the cover, all that stuff, jacket, it's in a very non-punk slick. It feels so good in the hand, by the way. Let's just mention that.
Yeah. Yeah, like I said, they did an excellent job on this one. The pressing itself sounds incredible. I've never heard the record sound this good. I have had it in my digital library for a very long time, but I have never heard it on vinyl. I don't own the CD.
I was sick of trying to look for one in the wild. It's basically impossible. And if you found one, it was just garbaged up, and I totally get that.
That was my deal too. Like I would find like the old Rhino pressing from probably like 2010 or so, and it was always like damaged and fucked up. So there's the Christmas 7-inch.
No, it was the record, not damaged.
Yeah. So we have the unclean side of Fuck Christmas and the clean side of Beep Christmas.
Yeah, that's clearly a joke.
Yes.
I mean, I guess they send it out to like college stations. I mean, why not? I mean, you never know. So.
Yeah. Well, what is it? It's really short. It's probably like 45 seconds. It's really, really short. Another thing that I just wanted to mention real quick. This is one of the Record Store Day exclusives, because I guess not all of them usually get the sticker, but that's just another note there. As far as tracks, I don't know about you, but what would you want to play from this one?
Well, I mean, this is a great album. I mean, this definitely goes, if I'm putting together like a top 50 or top 100 list, this one's going on there. It's so cool. And I remember going to see Megadeth in concert, and this was about 3 weeks or so after 9/11. And I know they're doing like World Needs a Hero, and I saw them like at a club actually in Dallas. And because, they had kind of fallen off a little bit, so, and they were on Sanctuary, so they're playing clubs, whatever.
Right.
Anyway, so I just remember distinctly like they played the whole record of the record over the PA before they came out. So that was like the warm up. And I know Dave's a big fan. Of course, the MD45 thing, got to put a mention for that.
Mm-hmm.
Both versions are great. They're different experiences, but like if you want the Leaving experience, get the original version of MD45, The Craving, which that would be a killer Record Store Day release. Actually, it'd probably have to be a 4-album set, both vocal mixes. I would buy that shit, or I would buy 2 different, albums. You could have people choose if they want to, but one with the Lee vocals and one with the Dave vocals. That would be tremendous. There's an RSD waiting to happen.
Yeah, it's a good one.
But yeah, anyway, so I love this whole album. In that case, it's hard for me to pick a track. I always think of the Saturday Night Live appearance, the infamous Saturday Night Live appearance, where they basically play a medley of songs off of here. So they play like Beef Bologna and New York's All Right if you like saxophones. I mean, Megadeth covered Foreign Policy on their last album. So there's a lot of places to go there. So Pete, out of those 3, make one of those my picks, and then you pick your own song. I mean, also I could go I Don't Care About You, I Love Living in the City. This thing is a damn stone cold classic.
Yeah, this is I'm listening to this the first time, and I was having trouble even, because you can go with the ones that are the typically known tracks first Fear song I ever heard was "Let's Have a War" because of the Repo Man soundtrack.
Yeah, there you
One of my
go.
all-time favorite soundtracks. So I always have you know, something as far as nostalgia with that song being the first one I ever heard from them.
Yeah.
One of the
Tell you
earliest
what,
punk
I'll,
tracks
I'll,
I heard
I'll
too.
tell you what, I'll pick an obvious one. You pick a deep one. So I'll pick "I Love Living in the City." What do you got?
That was like one of my other picks because I would even go back with "I Love Living in the City" simply for the fact that it's on SOD live at
Oh,
Budokan.
yeah, oh yeah,
Live
yeah.
at
That's
Brit.
right. That's right. That's a good
Yeah,
idea.
Rabbit Head.
Yeah, you fucking rabbit head. What you got, man?
Well, I could go with "I Love Living in the City." I could go with "New York Is Alright" if you like saxophones. I mean, it's like I said, this is a really tough one to choose. You know, like one singular track to represent the record.
Yeah.
But
Go with New York. Let's do city. Let's make it a theme.
so you want to do it with New York? New York Is Alright
Yeah.
if you like saxophones.
Yeah, because it's so
Yeah.
on the nose. It makes me think of that scene in Night Shift where Henry Winkler gets accosted by that guy with a saxophone on the subway and he starts writing him a check. It's just so go away.
All right, then we have it. We're gonna play from Fear the Record in our next music segment. New York Is Alright if you like saxophones.
All
All
right.
right, let's move on to the next record in my picks here, and this one I know the both of us did buy, and it's another F band, only slightly different genre, I guess you would say. Only this one is a unique release. We have here the Mylar cover. This is the Foo Fighters with Hail Satin, the A side of Bee Gees covers. As you see here, the front cover
And
is DG.
and one Andy Gibb cover too, by the
And we
way.
got, yes, that's right. We got the Shadow Dancing on here, Andy
Yeah.
Gibb song. And the B side is some, I guess, more recent live versions of some
Yeah.
tracks from the new album Medicine at Midnight,
Yes. Yes.
which I will get into as far as what my feelings are on those. But this one is limited to 12,000 copies. And as I mentioned, it does have this nice rainbow Mylar sleeve. So
Yeah.
what are your
Yeah.
thoughts what are your thoughts on this one, Joey, as far as how they decided to go half and half with half Bee Gees, Andy Gibb, half Foo Fighters?
Uh, so yeah, my whole experience with this, I was volunteering at the store that day, and man, like all the fair weathers came out for this one. All the tourists came out like it was the thing, and you know, it kind of like for me myself, I frequent a record store quite a bit. I'm like, I haven't seen you all year. It turns into that. That's what record store day turns into. But man, there was definitely, I mean, there was a huge ass buzz on this thing. You said 12,000. It felt like it was limited to 2,000. I mean, this thing is the hottest thing out there right now. The vultures are having a field day charging $500 a head for this
Yeah,
thing. And
it's pretty goddamn disgusting.
yeah, and honestly, like the content itself, I think it's fun. The covers are fun and the live tracks are good, but it's so spot on. Like I almost can't tell the difference between the live tracks and the album because I realized they were recorded on a soundstage live. They're rehearsing for a tour, blah blah blah.
Yeah,
That being said, I love the Foo Fighters. I don't have a problem with this release, uh, and but yeah, I guess it was probably a little misleading to people that it got marketed to. They probably were expecting a whole album of the
yeah,
covers, and they didn't get it. So I'm sure there were some salty people out there for it. I think because the demand is so high for this still, I really honestly, I'm going to say not totally go against the limited appeal of Record Store Day, but what they should do is they should re-release this thing. But the way to do it, I think, is to part down to just the A side as an EP, maybe 45 speed, and take the Mylar off of the cover. Hey, there's my cat. Look at that shit. Yes, take the take the cool cover off, and make it a little more basic, stuff like that, and then put it in stores. Charge $10 a head on it, 12, whatever you want to do. I don't think EP should ever be more than 10, even but just do that. I think obviously the demand is there, and
sure.
it doesn't need to just be a release just for that one day. I know they tried to make it up by releasing it digitally after a few days because there was a big backlash on them because what happened was the album sold out. People were pissed they didn't get it, and then they start selling merch like within 24 hours, like shirts and everything. They
Do
got
you,
shit on so hard for that.
do you realize that I have it in the background of my screen here? I was going to kind of make a joke about that, so I'm really glad you brought that
Oh,
up.
nice, yeah. And so they were like, you know what, the actual piece of merch we want, the freaking album.
Yeah, we don't want a fucking, ashtray.
Yeah, totally. I mean, that's neat, even if you don't smoke, I guess. But yeah, I mean, it was kind of, I don't want to say it was not handled well, but it shouldn't have been a record store day release.
Yeah.
Uh, Maybe they should have gone with a 7-inch, one song each, and then make it a proper release. If you want to keep it to the, cover side and live side, and then put that out, and then that should be just the thing in stores right now.
Yeah.
So that's my opinion on it because it turns into like that's where people start to see the perception now is like, oh, this is a terrible day,
Yeah.
and we don't, people, store owners don't want it to be a terrible day or a disappointing day for you. People don't get a joy out of, shutting people out on titles.
Mm-hmm.
It's just it's unfortunate, but that also comes down to the non-education of record stores in general and what record store day is all about and all that stuff. And I can get into a whole thing, but I'm not going to because I don't have time. But yeah, I'm fine with the release. The music itself is fine. It's fun. I'll probably put the A side on a lot, and I'll probably spin the B occasionally
Mm-hmm.
because I'm still processing, Medicine at Midnight, which is quite a good record. So that's going to be my thing with it. So and yeah, I was having that like, in the back of your mind, oh, I should have bought two. I could really bank on this, but at the same time, I don't want to be part of that problem.
Yeah.
Like I don't think I could live with myself, and I really do mean that because I have access to these records, and I could have bought an extra one. But some things are more important than money. I'd rather somebody have it that wants it. You know.
And that's the thing I do want to say because it's easy for us to sit here. We have copies, and people that might be watching that were shut out. Trust me when I say I feel bad. I see like some of my friends that they get shut out and they get really really pissed and they see these auctions. I feel bad. I really do
Yeah.
generally feel bad because if I were in their position and I got shut out on titles plenty of times, that I had to get later on Discogs,
Yeah.
and stuff like that. So I totally get it. I was saying to you, even off this show, I was saying, I think they should release this worldwide too, and ditch the Mylar cover and give it like a wide release because obviously, there was real significant demand for it. So I'm with you in hoping that they do that so that, anyone else who wasn't able to get this can get it. But honestly, if they put the Mylar cover and they did the same thing, like I said to you, I really wouldn't be mad because I think fans should have it.
For sure.
Now, my other question, as far as what you were saying about, this was the hot item of the day. I also have to wonder how many of those fans were really fans and they weren't just,
Sure.
the other F, which is fucking flippers.
Yeah.
So, that's the only thing I could really speak to as far as
Yeah.
I'm concerned. I really want any fan to be able to get this. That's a true
Yeah.
fan of the Foo Fighters that has everything,
Sure.
wants everything.
Yeah, and I'm just glad because the place that I help out at over Good Records from time to time, they do the one item per person. So
Yeah,
I'm pretty good. I feel like at this point I've been working music retail a long time. I could tell a flipper 9 out of 10 times probably.
yeah,
So I think we did get a lot of normal people, and these were like moms, and I just don't think that they were flippers. So I got lucky in that sense that I was talking to real fans. I
that's
will say the positive part about it is the guy that bought the last physical copy at the store, he was so happy that he got it. He did. You ever seen Boogie Nights? The first time Dirk Diggler wins his Best Acting Award, he does that karate kick in the air in the shadow.
sure. Yeah,
He freaking did that. He basically did a version of that right next to me, like over the aisle, like, bam. And he was just like, yeah, and I was like, that's a fan. That's not an eBay guy. Like, I love
yeah.
that shit. Like, that made my day. Like, that and the soccer hooligan guy that buys all the ska. Like,
That's cool.
that's the kind of shit you look forward to.
Yeah,
Like, it's like, oh,
that's a
man.
real fans that should get. Yeah,
Yeah, that freaking made my day. I hope I see that guy again. I love that stuff. So anyway,
That's cool. That's a cool
that's
story.
all.
Well, all right. So let's break this down really quick so we can get to our next music segment as far as the tracks, because they don't list the tracks on the cover. The Bee Gees covers on the A side and the Andy Gibb cover. You have "You Should Be Dancing," and I believe that's the one that's out right now as far as a video, right? It's the only one that
Yes.
they put out so far. You have
Yeah.
"Night Fever," "Tragedy," "Shadow Dancing," and "More Than a Woman." So that is the A side, and the B side, as we alluded to, are now you said they're rehearsals. They are that's from a soundstage of them rehearsing for the Medicine at Midnight tour.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that that's what that is.
Yeah,
Like,
I figured it was like some kind of thing they did remote, and
yeah,
they just captured the audio from what I could
yeah,
tell. So the B side has 5 songs from the current album Medicine at Midnight: "Making a Fire," "Shame Shame," "Waiting on a War," "No Son of Mine," and "Cloud Spotter." In my opinion, the live tracks, they're very solid, but I do agree it's kind of not what you came here for. You came here for the Bee Gees covers, really, because that's
yeah.
kind of like the main focus. It is the front of the album cover. So, yeah, I could see, some people I did see some people express a little disappointment that the B side is just, Medicine at Midnight stuff, sort of reimagined or, slightly different, not completely, totally different versions, because the live versions are very good. They're very
Yeah.
tight. So I could see why some people were disappointed as far as that was concerned, and maybe they didn't just do like a full-fledged Bee Gees cover album. But having said that, Joey, what would be a track that you would want to play from here? And I'm assuming both of us are going to go with something from the A side, right?
Sure, yeah. Yeah, and this is easy for me because it's one of my favorite Bee Gees song. And as luck would have it, I found out years later, even though you ever do that thing where you look up the song that was the number one song in the world when you were born?
Yeah.
So in America, I didn't get a good pick for my taste, is "I Will Survive." I was born March 13th, 1979. So not a fan of that song. But over in the UK, it was "Tragedy."
Oh,
So
okay.
I am going to take ownership of "Tragedy" being the number one song the week I was born.
All right.
So going with that.
On that note, let's get into our next music segment here, as we are going to play "New York Is All Right" if you like saxophones, from Fear, the record, followed by
Something completely different.
Tragedy
Nice.
from the Foo Fighters, Hail Satin, the Bee Gees, A side.
All right.
Okay, we're back. That was Fear from the record with "New York Is All Right" if you like saxophones, followed by the DGs, aka the Foo Fighters, with their cover from their half Bee Gees covers, half live Foo Fighters record with their cover of the Bee Gees' Tragedy. So coming up next, we have a couple of releases from some notable old punk rock bands. And I'm going to start with the first one here. And I know it's one that we both picked up. I've been picking up any of the Clash, some of the Clash Joe Strummer stuff over the years that have come out on Record Store Day. So this was no exception. I wanted to get this one.
Oh yeah.
If music
Definitely
could,
wanted to make a point.
yeah, if music could talk. And this is a 2-record set that was originally made to promote the release of Sandinista, which we talked about not too long ago for an episode for the 40th anniversary. And this includes 10 album tracks remastered, and it's limited to 3,600 copies. So it is basically an interview and music promotional set. So
Yeah.
each side is
And,
devoted to each band member. So side 1 is Paul Simonon, side 2 is for Mick Jones, side 3 is for Joe Strummer, and side 4 is for Topper Headon. So
yeah.
that is,
And it's really neat. Like, I wasn't aware of this album's existence.
me neither.
I've never seen it out and about. they must have very few copies of it out there from originally, probably just the ones they made to send to radio stations.
Is what it looks like.
So as the cool little classic jazz album write-up goes, because that's what it looks like on the back, and that's really neat too. Jimmy Jazz, if you will.
Yeah.
Uh, and it's basically like CBS, Sony didn't know what to do with this album when it came out, because there's not one song that they thought that they could play on the radio, and the genres are all over the place. So they basically just made this to get attention put on it. But at the same time, it's like, I don't know if it was going to really help so much. But
Yeah.
uh, it's not that. And the other thing is, I love Sandinista. We've talked about this, but it's not like that the band was like, I felt like they were just doing a regular interview on here. Like, I don't
Yeah.
think they were in salesmanship mode. I don't think that was ever in their, brain to do that. So it just kind of comes off like a regular radio interview. I'm glad it exists, and it's a great piece of history for a fan. I would buy more things like this because I love these kind of like radio show promo things.
Yeah.
I actually came into possession of a gaggle of these things from like a really sweet spot of classic rock radio, like some Cars conversations, some Tom Petty stuff. So I'm kind of just going through them all now. So I'm like really in the mode to listen to something like this. But yeah, this is definitely a record store day. This is kind of what it's all about. Hardcore fans only,
Mhm.
because not only do you have to be a hardcore fan of The Clash to want this, you also, and I know some people that aren't supposedly fans of The Clash that aren't fans of Sandinista. So
Yeah.
you really do have to be a fan of Sandinista to fully appreciate this, of course, because you already probably have the record. So
Yeah.
you're going to just want the conversations to go along with it. So
I definitely agree with you. It's probably, best for true fans because, it's like it's 10 tracks across 2 discs, but yeah, it's essentially an interview showcase. But the interview segments are done with Cosmo Vinyl, who is very closely associated with the band. He's the voice you hear at the beginning of the Clash live at Shea Stadium. So there is that fact as far as, for Clash fans that are very well aware of these things. Now, the interesting thing I found as far as the tracks that were chosen was all of the tracks were songs that we picked when we put our single album together for the 40th anniversary episode. So
nice.
it does present us with that little dilemma because we have played each of these songs on the show before. However, the interview segments have never been played. So
I was going to say, I got an idea, if I may do something on the fly here. So I will say the disc that is not surprisingly the most fascinating is Joe's. Joe is one of the main lyricists and songwriters, the face of the band almost in a sense. And he actually goes into some detail about what some of these songs are about.
mm-hmm.
And I really was, I really got brought into the talk up to the call up. And it really made I've always loved that song, but hearing him explain it, it's like watching a good documentary. Hearing him explain the nature of the song and then hearing the song
Mm-hmm.
really took that song to another level for me. I'll never listen to that song the same way again, but that's the way that Joe intended for me to hear the song. So never knew what it was about before, but now I do. And I guess I've just been ignorant to what he was saying in the lyrics, but yeah, that thing really blew me away. So if I may, if we could at least get a little bit of that talk up, him explaining what the song's about,
Yeah,
and then go into that, that's definitely something I would pick for this representation, if you're cool with that.
that's fine with me. I'll play the whole segment with the track
Cool.
included because there is the fact that this does say that the tracks have been remastered. So yeah, that's something that's mentioned on the hype sticker. So yeah, well, let's showcase one of the full tracks, and we'll play the call up along with the interview portion. Now, I want to mention the tracks that are actually picked to represent the album on this promotional release that was made at the time. So side A starts with Paul Simonon, and the tracks represented on there are Jungle Partner, a track that we heard on the last episode via Joe Strummer Live, One More Time, and One More Dub. Then you have side 2, which is the interview with Mick Jones, and the songs that are represented on his side are Hitsville UK and The Magnificent Seven. Then we get to side 3 with Joe Strummer, and the songs represented there are Washington Bullets, The Call Up, as mentioned by Joey, and Police on My Back. And then finally, on side 4, the interview side with Topper Headon, you get one of my favorite Clash tracks of all time, Ivan Meets G.I. Joe, followed by Somebody Got Murdered. That is how it breaks down. And so we have decided that we will play The Call Up from here, and that is on side 3. So if you're ready to move on to the next record, I am ready to move on as well.
All right, let's do it.
All right.
I'm excited to get this because it's from kind of the beginning of an era that people don't give it up for as much for this next band.
Oh,
Because anything from 1980 and on, kind of, they kind of ignore it a little bit, and it's
yeah,
unfortunate.
I absolutely agree with you, because I know we've mentioned this before just in regular conversations, but why Rhino Records, Sire, whatever you want to, whoever's involved as far as the decision making here is probably Rhino. But I don't know why it's like they seem to stop at a certain era with this band. But we are talking about the Ramones. It's like it almost wouldn't be Record Store Day if there wasn't a Ramones release, right, Joey?
Yeah, I'm just like taking it for granted at this point, but I like the direction it's going in, and maybe they'll just be like, you know what? Maybe we've exhausted the live thing for a minute, and let's get into those other records finally. Let's do that. That would be
Yeah.
nice. Yeah. But
So
that being said, this thing is hot. I love it. Great set.
yeah, I just want to get into the details here. We're talking about Ramones, and the title of this record is called Triple J Live at the Wireless Capitol Theatre, Sydney, Australia, July 8th, 1980. So this, once again, is another Record Store Day exclusive, and it states on the hype label here, previously unreleased live show from the 1980 tour, 23 tracks, including rare live performances of songs from end of the century, and it's on 180-gram vinyl. This one is limited to 13,000 copies, and it's actually numbered on the back. It's probably a little tough to see, but there is my number there, and it is number 663 out of 13,000. So nice low number. I agree with you that there definitely should be more stuff represented from 1980 and on as far as the Ramones. And this is definitely a good place to start. Did you notice that in some tracks, Dee Dee's bass completely drops out? I think there's like a couple of tracks where he just completely is gone.
Wow. Yeah.
So it's definitely rough. It's definitely a little rougher than some of the previous releases.
Sure. Yeah, it's a little thin at that point, but it's still a cool show, and I really dig that set list. And I'm a fan of the End of the Century album, so just the fact that there's something from that tour makes me very happy. I'm easy to please when it comes to this kind of stuff, so Ramones, one of the most consistent live bands of all time, and you hear it on this record. It's not a super long album,
No,
despite the amount of tracks, but that's the Ramones for you.
I think it's like 40. I think it's like literally around 45 minutes.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I don't
20 songs or something like that. Yeah.
It's 23 songs. So I'm guessing they didn't edit any of the stuff out. Like they didn't take any songs out of the set, because I was wondering, because I think they were doing Chinese rock at some points at this time. I could be wrong.
Maybe later. I mean, I know they definitely added in later. They played it. That was like the second to last song they ever played live. There's a fun fact for you, because I just played that version on my show this week. So yeah.
This is a tough one for me as far as choosing a track, because I mean, it's like every track is a winner. So obviously, some of the tracks you lose Dee Dee a little bit.
Back to back. Let's at least find two that are like back to back with each other. Just find two good 2 in a rows.
Well, that's a tough one, man, because I don't have it memorized like when something is back to back on here yet. And it could be there could be any.
Yeah.
But this is one thing I just wanted to mention. Joey Ramone, obviously, he had a unique vocal style, I would say, in some aspects.
Yeah.
When it came to him live, when the stuff started getting sped up a little bit more, and he had to kind of compensate for some of that stuff.
Yeah.
To me, as a Ramones fan, that kind of leads to some of the more, I guess I would say, comedic moments in my mind, because like I'm gonna just mention an example, Surfing Bird.
Oh sure.
It was like bird's a word and a bird and a bird bird's a word and bird. I'm just sitting there like in front of my turntable, like kind of,
Oh
chuckling
yeah.
to myself.
Yeah, and this is kind of where it does get so out of control. It's like, hey, how many songs can we cram into the set? When I
Yeah,
saw them at Lollapalooza '96, and I specifically remember them playing Rock and Roll High School, and it was rock, 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 yeah, yeah, rock,
yeah,
rock,
yeah,
rock,
yeah,
rock, yeah, yeah.
yeah, yeah.
Just like, but at the same time, he's trying. This isn't like a Vince Neil thing. He's actually trying, and it really is just the speed of the thing that
Right.
he can't. It's almost impossible to like get every word enunciated properly. So he's just doing what he can, doing his thing. So give me that 10 times out of 10 versus what you might see if you see Mr. Neil on stage, you know,
Yeah. And
stinking up the
I'm
joint.
not saying it as a negative thing. I'm saying
Sure, yeah,
more
it's funny.
merely
Yeah,
as
it's
it's
fun.
funny. I just was
Yeah,
sitting here kind of like chuckling to myself, like just trying to picture Joey on the stage, with his usual, delivery with the mic stand in his hand.
yeah,
And he just
yeah.
bird's word and the bird and the bird's word, bird's word. So
Well,
that was like the
let,
song that stuck out to me. I might want to
yeah.
suggest
Let's
playing
do
that.
that. Let's definitely do that. You've talked about it. Now I want to hear it again.
And I think that one does segue into Crete and Hop, so we could probably
Yeah,
double up on that one if you want.
yeah. I'm
Surfing
I'm
Bird.
down with that.
And
You
I'm just
can't go.
thinking of it in my head how they would, they would 1, 2, 3, 4. So
Yeah,
I think that does
yeah.
happen.
I'm down. I'm down with it. You can't. I mean, you literally can't go wrong. It's cliche, but it's true. So
And let's just talk about something that I didn't jot down on my little notes here, but this is just another great release that was produced by Ed Stasium once again. So he oversaw this one
the
as he's
great Ed
done with
Stasium. Yes.
a lot of the prior releases for Record Store Day.
Yeah.
All right,
Not Richard Pryor.
not Richard Pryor. We'll get to Richard
No.
Pryor.
Yeah.
So, all right, I think that's a good time for us to go into our next music segment. I'm going to go into the classic punk segment here with The Clash from this promotional interview and music set to promote Sandinista being reissued here for Record Store Day. So we're going to play Joey's Choice here. A little discussion with Joe Strummer about the call-up. And that's going to be immediately followed up by the Ramones.
Ramones.
With the Ramones. This is with Marky.
Marky Ramone. I was in the Ramones.
In the Ramones. So, we mentioned Marky in the last episode. We're mentioning him again. So we hope we make Marky happy because he was in the Ramones. Oh, I just realized I didn't show the record. So we're going to go into this music segment now. I'm going to play The Clash, followed by the Ramones from this record here. They threw the old Classic Sire Records label on here. And we're going to play Surfin' Bird into Crete and Hop. All right, we are back, and that was The Clash with the call-up from If Music Could Talk, followed by the Ramones with Surfin' Bird and Crete and Hop from Triple J live at the Wireless Capitol Theatre, Sydney, Australia, July 8th, 1980.
It just rolls off the tongue, doesn't it?
Oh, yeah.
I know I made that joke already, but man, we went from It's Alive and Loco Live. We're out of here. Triple J live at the something something and the something something in Bowling Green, Kentucky.
Maybe the next Record Store Day release, they'll go a little easy on the title for us.
Yeah.
All right, let's move on to my last two picks, which I know you also purchased. And we briefly mentioned these at the end of the last episode, that they were on the top of our priority lists. So we are talking about King's X. And this one here is their first record following their departure from Atlantic Records when they had signed with Metal Blade. And it's Tapehead from 1998. And as it says on the hype label here, it's first time on vinyl, exclusive numbered edition on pink wax. And I have, if you can't really see it, but it's up there. I have number 194 of 2,500 copies. And the vinyl here really quick, show that before we move on to the next King's X record. And That's what the vinyl looks like.
For the YouTubers at home, the reason I'm not showing my records, I did get these records, but off camera, my hands are like a Benihana chef. I'm keeping cats at bay. But I do have these as well. I don't have my numbers. I don't know your numbers. I don't know your numbers.
Okay.
Anyway,
I'm here to display the vinyl for us.
thank you so much. I got some vinyl to show you later. So
Okay. The next one that was released on July 17th, it's their third album that they released on Metal Blade Records, and it was originally released in 2001. This also, it says on the hype sticker, first time on vinyl, exclusive numbered edition on neon orange wax, and this one is number 2,400 out of 2,500.
ooh,
And these are not pressed by Metal Blade. It looks like we have a different record company, and this is the first I'm ever hearing of this Zvart Records.
yeah. I guess they got the rights to Bulbous also. So looks like they're coming up in the vinyl game, and a good way to do it with a band that's got a good cult following like King's X.
Oh yeah,
But yeah, keep an eye on those guys.
yeah.
Shop smart. Shop Svart. I'm such a stereotypical podcaster. I have cats. I think I'm funny.
Well, yeah, we all think we're comedians in some way, you know.
Oh yeah.
We're just trying to.
Hey,
I'll tell you, we're just
hey.
we're just trying to entertain not only ourselves, but we're trying to entertain those that decide to tune in here. So
Oh sure, yeah. No, I'm just
a little nerdery, a little comedy. It's all good, I say, Joey.
Yeah. Hey. But yeah, no. I kid about. I was talking about how bad the off air. I was talking about like, well, the only reason they didn't press the other one is because it's such a terrible title, and maybe they'll just redo the whole imaging and the album title. And you hear an album called "Please Come Home, Mr. Bulbous," and you're just like, well, that's how I like the record actually. I think it's good. I think I do like it better than Manic Moonlight overall. But yeah, it's like the guy with the bulb head, and it's just like, what is this? But
Yeah.
it almost I was saying they called their shot. Eventually, they're going to be on Inside Out Records, and look what happened.
Yeah.
That is.
Well, I think it's also something to do. Yeah, we joke around about the album cover art because I do admit, like, when I saw that album cover too, it was kind of like, they went from those years being on Atlantic, and they had the elaborate cover art and stuff like that. I think is safe to say, right?
Yeah, and not that Ear Candy is a great album cover, but I could see it on a shirt. Like,
yeah, it's not.
I'm not. I don't think I'm buying a Mr. Bulbous shirt unless you get really creative with it and do something different with it. So.
And I do remember when this came out, it was also sort of like, this is kind of a weird album cover. Just a guy with a whole bunch of tape on his head. Coming off of Ear Candy, and again.
But at least I almost got the idea that could be Doug, or it is Doug, So like I responded to that cover pretty well. I don't think it's too bad. It's abstract, of course, but I think it works for the material. Now. Yeah.
I like it more now than I did back then. I'll say that.
At least it looks like another thing I'll say about this company, those don't look like too bad of scans.
No.
As far as like if they went from the CD, looks like they actually did their homework on some of these terrible labels that are, or I don't want to say terrible labels, I'll say people that aren't able to get the proper imaging for vinyl, that stretch those images, and like some of those Alice Cooper ones and some of the other things that we've been seeing here and there, the Anthrax ones. It's like these actually look pretty good. Like if those are scans, they're pretty good, and I love the look of the layout. So I look forward to seeing anything else this label might put out.
Yeah.
So and I'm sure Bulbous is on the way once again.
Yeah.
Maybe we'll get some other stuff from that era. Maybe the live album will come back from that era. I'd buy that.
Yeah.
Live Around the World, I think it is. Yeah.
Incredible. Great live set.
Yeah. Record Store Day. Let's do it.
Yeah, let's do it again. Yeah. So we had said that we would probably anticipate Please Come Home, Mr. Bulbous will probably come out maybe a future Record Store Day, or even beyond that, or maybe outside of Record Store Day.
Sure. Yeah.
And but these.
By the way, I do want to put in another word for my friend Chris out of Good Records. Plenty of copies left of those too. He went real hard on it because it's a Texas store, King's X, but it's still it didn't sell out the first day, let's just say, and not for nothing. But if you're interested in this, you should go get it from them because they got them. So I even I had to tell people on the King's X fan pages that too. I was just like, everybody's like, I missed out on it. I'm like, you're either full of shit and you didn't really try to get it, or you didn't work that hard at it. So here's your link. Go buy it. It's out there.
Google search would
Yeah.
keep up the good records result, no?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, that'd be one of the top choices to do. And
There
I'm
you
just
go.
like, yeah, no, there's plenty of copies for hardcore fans. Like, go get it. It's fine.
You see,
Atlantic stuff still happening. Their stuff is, I'm seeing their stuff out and about in more stores, this stuff and the Atlantic stuff. So it's nice. It's a good time to start collecting vinyl for King's X. I will say that if you've hesitated before, do it now. And then eventually all the rest of the 15 studio albums will come out. So,
well, you
yeah.
heard it here. If you're looking for it, good records.
There you go.
Where to go? That I was gonna say, these were top priority for me because of the fact that those Atlantic reissues, those great Atlantic reissues, came out on Metal Blade. So these were definitely top priority to keep up with anything that's coming out by King's X on vinyl. And
Yeah.
if you're a fan that's been looking forward to these and you're wondering, well, how do they sound? How does this Zvart Records do as far as the vinyl quality? Vinyl quality is great on both of these. I definitely had no issues with them. I think the quality will show in the vinyl transfers. The only difference, obviously, is sonically the production in each recording. So I will say that Tapehead definitely edges out Manic Moonlight, album quality and production quality. So you're going to
Yep.
notice a bit of a difference when you hear the tracks that you and I have chosen to play
Yeah.
from these.
That,
So
that's a fair assessment for sure. And I think most fans would agree. I think I even heard maybe that some of the band members might agree as well. But Manic Moonlight is still fine. It's a little muddy and it's a little down.
it is.
But then again, what wasn't about 2001?
That's true. That's definitely something to consider, considering where we were at that point in time. The songs we've chosen, pretty simple. We're just going to go with album openers for each record. So,
And they're good at that. They always have
yeah.
been.
Well, the first one, I definitely can say I have a sort of a personal connection to the first track that we're going to play. And that first track is Groove Machine, the opening track from Tapehead. Very first time I got to see King's X was on July 14th, 2017, here in New York City at City Winery. And the opening track that they played, it was Groove Machine. So the very first song that I got to hear King's X play live was Groove Machine. So that's going to be track number one.
Mine was Dog Man. I just want to mention that.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah. Yeah. There was like so little like build up to it. It was almost like a really quiet count off and they just bam dropped on it.
It's
Anyway,
funny you
there you
mention that because
Yeah.
the two tracks that I recorded on video from the show were the opening track. So I have Groove Machine, and the other one happened to be Dogman. And Dogman was one of their encores, so we had to wait
Nice.
a bit for that one at our
Yeah,
show.
that's all right.
But it was great. It was great,
Yeah.
and I knew it was coming. Like I had the feeling, so I
Yeah.
hit record on my phone, and I was like, and I hear 1, 2, 3, 4. And I knew just by the stick clicks, by
Yeah.
the rhythm of the stick clicks. So that was
Yeah.
a cool moment.
I
So
might have asked you this like a year and a half ago, but just kind of a sidebar. Did you ever watch have you seen their Woodstock set? Because
yes,
that's a good pro shot that you can watch for free out there on
yeah,
YouTube.
it's on YouTube, and
Yeah.
it's unfortunate that I don't think much of that made it onto the official Woodstock release.
Oh no. Like I don't even know if they
Maybe
got one
one
track
song.
on there. Yeah.
Yeah, I remember watching some of their performance when it was going on live on pay-per-view at the Verderami's
Yeah.
house. They had
Nice.
they had it. So I remember us watching a little bit of King's X, and yeah, I did watch that whole set like, not too long ago. It was like within
Yeah.
a few years, I watched it again.
Yeah.
It's like, and the crowd was so into them at that show.
Yeah.
I don't
Yeah,
know.
it was really cool. It's super similar to when I saw him open for Motley that year. So it was almost like watching the same show. So that's that's a good reference point for the time I saw him the first time.
So we talked about the track that we've chosen from Tapehead, and we're going to play Groove Machine from Tapehead, and the next track we're going to play following that is going to be the opening track from Manic Moonlight, and that song is called Believe. That was King's X from Tapehead and Manic Moonlight, the opening tracks from each album. Groove Machine, followed by Believe.
And if I had mentioned before, Katy, Texas's finest band, King's X, the best band to come from Katy, Texas of all time. And I'll just say it, I'll give them Houston as well. Since ZZ Top, and rest in peace, Dusty, talk about him on, I'm definitely going to be doing a proper tribute to the Top on Rock Strikes 10, but ZZ Top is not Houston. They're more Dallas than Houston. So I think it's safe to say that. But as far as bands that lived there all the time, King's X, best band to come out of Houston, even though they're from Katy, Texas.
I believe there is that little connection between ZZ Top and King's X in the fact that King's X's original producer, Sam Taylor, I think he had worked with ZZ Top at some point. Yeah. I think it's in more in the video production. Like I don't think he ever produced any of their music, but I think he had some kind of tie with them at some point before he was working with King's X.
And not for nothing, they're the only tremendous power trio from Texas that still has their first album recorded lineup together since ZZ Top.
That's true.
There's something in the water, that loyalty, that just being in sync. I will say, and you've been in bands, Pete.
A few.
I guess there's something to the trio that makes it easier to stay together. I guess if you're dealing with 4 and 5, the odds are worse that you could stay together, but it looks like the trio was the way to go.
Yeah.
And maybe I guess you have to be from where I live. But those two factors really seem to play a part in keeping your band together. So for you kids out there, if you're in Bowling Green and you have a power trio, move down to Texas, claim it, and you're going to last 50 years, my friend. I can almost guarantee you that. And also don't suck. And you might just want to do all ZZ Top and King's X covers.
These are words to live by as somebody who was in a trio when I was in Space Beard. It was me and the bass player pretty much all the way through, and we went through a few drummers. So yeah, maybe it is something about, you have to be in Texas. Something about that.
Yeah. How was Joe Mama Besser when he did gigs with you? Okay, sorry.
He wasn't as good as Eric Stumpy Joe.
Yeah, okay, all right.
So now is the point of this episode, just like the previous Record Store Day episode, where I turn it over to Joey, and he is going to show us some of his picks that I did not purchase.
I will say that some of these are going to be a little interesting. I'll start off with one that I think is interesting, although I think if you're any kind of rock guy, you should have at least one thing to represent a should-be Hall of Famer. And there's a lot of great women in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, especially the rock women. Joan Jett is a good example, but the one that she heard, like her Elvis, is Suzi Quatro. And it's a double live album recorded in Japan. That sounds familiar. I'm pretty sure the Runaways did that too later on.
Yes.
And some other bands did that too. But yeah, this killer live and kicking 2 LP set on white vinyl. Yes, exclusive 2 LP Record Store Day white vinyl. I have already opened it. I've already listened to it. It's awesome. It's interesting because, you hear those Japanese live albums like Budokan and stuff like that, but overall, it wasn't like a Beatles thing. Like, girls weren't showing up to a Suzi Quatro song to be like, oh my God, like they do live at Budokan. But it's a very respectful audience. You could tell they're into it and they politely, but it's not a raucous crowd, but it's a good show. They play very well. There's the white vinyl with the red label. It's a Chrysalis.
Chrysalis?
By the way.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, Chrysalis label, by the way. I don't see a lot of red Chrysalis labels, so I don't know if that's but yeah.
That's what I was gonna say to you. I was like, I'm so used to the Chrysalis label, the classic blue and white label, that even when I
Yeah.
see one of those green ones, I'm like, holy shit, a green and red one. That one I never see. I never seen one on red.
Yeah. All right. So yeah, a little Susie Quattro, and watch this. Out of my sleeves. See if I can get all three of them out here. Oh, boom! Look at that, like clockwork. By way of Rhino, and somehow into Friday Music territory. I still don't know how he gets these licenses, but the Monkey's Missing Links. These are really cool. There's Volume 1. There's Volume 2. And there is Volume 3. Cool thing about this is they do have songs that people know on it, but it's mostly B-sides. It's basically, if it's a song you know, it's an alternate take, or this is great, the television version or television edit, where even maybe it would be played a little differently or sung a little differently. Sometimes that happened. I'm not the biggest expert. I know a ton of experts about the Monkees, but to my ears, that's what I'm hearing. But that for a band that was supposedly so disposable, and they were like, "Get this song out. We've got product. We've got a show."
Right.
There's some good B-sides on here that I guess were at one point considered for an album, but I think it's quality stuff. I like that it's all just compiled in this 3 volumes of vinyl. I guess these only came out maybe officially when the Rhino license happened in the '80s and the comeback happened. But I will say I'm glad Friday didn't put their usually terrible mix on here because these sound good to my ears. There's one on red vinyl. I think they're all on red. I've listened to them all, but I don't know. Let's see. Let's see if they're all red. We like color, don't we? Here we go. Oh, more red. There you go. It'd be kind of neat if the color was congruent to the album cover
Yeah.
on here, but I'm
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 always
not
in favor of that.
I'm not really seeing that. But bare minimum Joe strikes again. Not me. Friday. Um, Yeah, and yeah. By the way, one of my favorite things is on Volume 3, Missing Links Volume 3. It's got the television version of the theme song, which on the first album it's the full version. This is the short version, immediately followed by a Kellogg's jingle
Oh
that
wow.
they recorded in the sound studio, 1966. It's great. Just hearing Mickey sing this jingle, it's just priceless. But there's some good rock and roll on here. Oh yeah, this is so Volume 3, green, on green.
So there you go. You got one different color.
Like,
That's odd.
yeah. And there's green imaging on Volume 3, which is cool. But, like, why are the other two red? That's very weird. So, but I guess I could tie this into a half joke. It's like Christmas for the Monkees fans, you know? So,
Yeah,
there
I
you
know.
go. Missing links.
I was saying to you in well offline and on messages, I saw how many Monkeys fans were trying to get all three of those. You know,
Yeah.
some to varying degrees of success. And not wasn't easy. I saw for a few of them.
Before I get to the last two, I'll show this other one here. I guess picture discs aren't that big anymore at Record Store Day, but you see a handful of them. And I remember on the last drop, Tarkus by ELP was like one of the big picture
Yeah,
discs. But what a random title for a picture disc, but I kind of love it. I had to get it. Richard Pryor's debut album, just called Richard Pryor, came out in the late 60s. Let's see if I can get a date on here. I'm not quite sure what the year is on it. 68. Look at that. I
wow.
mean, and it's cutting edge material for the time. It's not quite Sunset Strip Richard, but you can hear just how hard he's going early on. With some titles on here I can't even say on the air, let's just say. But you know, it's got some classic bits on here. Yeah, he's going pretty hard here. You see, he's dressed up like a indigenous person with a earring bone through his nose. There's a close up of it on the B side right there. So, oh Richard, we miss you. Rest in peace, Richard. What an icon. And it's really cool that they put out this Record Store Day thing. And you know, to my rules of Record Store Day, when there's some weird variant like a picture disc or a colored thing or whatever, I don't rebuy anything that I already have. It would have to have a lot of extra shit on it or whatever. And I didn't have this. I can't find a copy of the debut album. It's much like Fear the Record of comedy. I
Yeah,
can't find this one in the wild. And any one I might have seen was probably very heavily played. Kind of like Cheech and Chong records, man. Finding Mint Cheech and Chong in the wild, you know, those old party albums, it's rough, man. Like it's you gotta find stuff in the cellophane still. So I'm really glad to have this. It wasn't in my collection. Now it is. I have a pretty healthy comedy vinyl collection at this point. You know, I got the bigs, Carlin, Pryor, Kinnison, Cheech and Chong, stuff like that. You know, a couple of Rodneys. Hey, okay.
I'll tell you.
So would you like to do a couple of taking them out of the cellophane, the whole 9 yards on this show. We'd like to do a couple of these because
Yeah,
there's a couple I haven't listened to yet because
yeah.
it's like what Roth said: give me a 72-hour day and we'll play catch up. Plus, apparently, we're farming cats now. So, but yeah, while the one's asleep, I'm going to open this up. This is really neat, and I say I'm a hard sell when it comes to score, although I was guilty as a Henson nerd of buying the Dark Crystal Age of Resistance scores. I say scores, multiple. There were 2 picture discs that came out on some drops last year with
Okay.
all different original material. And then I saw this on the list, and I was like, man, you know what? I don't have it. And I like Aliens, love Alien, like Aliens pretty well. I think it's a cool series, of course. And nothing wrong with, James Horner's score, although he did do Titanic, but we won't hold that against him. Um, but this is, of course, Aliens, the score. And the other reason I got it is because I'm going to know the music and I will listen to this. But since I didn't have it before, I couldn't pass up the gimmick, which is Record Store Day. And it says right there, pressed on acid blood yellow green vinyl.
Oh,
So
that's gonna look good.
I haven't even looked up images of this online yet because I was waiting for this episode. So
Here we
this
go.
isn't like any kind of exclusive. It's out. People have seen it. But for me and Pete, this is an exclusive. So I'm going to let it breathe and take it out of the cellophane here. Oh, yeah. Sorry. Hold your breath there, Pete. Hang on. Oh, yeah. Look at that. Oh, yeah. Look at that. Here we go. Oh, man. I'm going to save that hype sticker for later. Don't worry. It's going to go on the sleeve. So here you go. Let's see what acid blood green, whatever it looks like. Oh, Verasi Sarabande. I love saying it. I sound so bougie and fancy when I say that. The record label that does all the film scores. So here you go. It's bowling ball, poison
Okay.
green, with a little bit of yellow acid blood in it. I could see it. Yeah, not bad. I was expecting a little more, but it's pretty cool. It's pretty neat. That's pretty spot on to the Alien Blood acid cover. It looks more green in the picture looking here on my phone, but in person it's got more yellow to it. So,
Yeah,
in case
I
you're
see the
wondering.
yellow streaks.
Yeah.
I
So
do see it.
if you put it up close, it looks more acid blood. If you pull it back here, it looks like a Poison album. But hey, it's all good.
In the last episode, you did mention your fandom of the Alien movies when you were showing off the Lady Gaga release. So
Oh yeah, yeah. I forgot about that. Full circle.
yeah,
There you go.
we're following up there with this one that you just opened. So yeah, that's a nice looking release there. So I'm sure you're gonna enjoy the hell out of that.
Yeah, and here we go. Last one.
Here we go.
Let's open up a little bit of debate and decorum here. Is there we could probably think of better best ofs, but this definitely goes on the short list. Top 5 to 10 all-time collections. And when you think about the singles era of rock and roll, the fact that it's kind of almost all here in those other 2 volumes, was it Through the Past Darkly, Big Hits and Green Grass Tides, or whatever the hell. It sounds like a 10 Years After song.
Yeah.
Um, but those are great, and those are worth owning. But Hot Rocks is the cream of the crop. So, and the bonus of like, man, they were really gonna just give away Brown Sugar and Wild Horses, and the possibility that it may not be on the next record. How strong are those songs?
Yeah.
And you part them up here with the Abco stuff, like it's a day. And I have a lot of nostalgia for this, much like probably 95% of the world. This was the first Stones CD I ever owned on that unnecessary 2 disc, because I believe you can fit them all on one, much like Beatles Red. I think Beatles Red definitely can fit on one disc. This one may be pushing it, probably because of stuff like Sympathy for the Devil and a
Well,
few other
those
songs.
also might have been originally put on CD before they were expanded to 80 minutes.
Could be. Yeah, that's a good point. I didn't think about that. But yes, I'm going, and it's got a killer Obi strip here,
I noticed.
and
Yeah. Nice.
we might know somebody who was involved in this kind of packaging. However, and shout out to that guy who
Ron,
may or who may or may not have been on I Am Vinyl recently.
yeah.
But
So
this looks great. This looks great, by the way. And in case you're watching, sir, but I'm going to let this mother breathe right here.
yeah, the only reason I didn't pick that one up was because I did buy the other volumes.
Yep.
It's sort of a matter of room right now with what I have room for.
Yeah, and I did kind of break my rule on rebuying. I've got an older copy of this, and it's actually in pretty good shape, but they threw in some inserts here, and yeah, it's not the color for me. The thing on the Obi strip that put me over the top, because I walked into the store that day thinking, I'm not going to get this. I have Hot Rocks, but that Obi started looking at me, and it said lithographs on archival paper, and I was like, God damn it, I need a definitive Hot Rocks. So, uh, yes, there
Get the
you go.
smell.
Yeah, get the smell test.
Like that's like my brother. He does that. He has to smell everything when he opens it.
Well, he's insane. I'm a normal person. No, I'm just kidding. There you go. You know what? And by the way, this is probably in my top 3 Stones pictures of all time, just because Charlie's right up front, and he's just like sulking, but
Yeah.
he's in the front. Everybody else in the background, he's standing there like he's just presiding over the guys, and he looks so salty like he always does, but he kind of looks proud of himself at the same time. I love Charlie. He's my favorite over it guy. So yeah, there you go.
Nice.
Let's take these sleeves out. Let's find out what's going on here. Ooh, the insides are in yellow, by the way. Let's see if I can get that
Oh,
on
the
camera.
inside. I see it.
Yeah, look at
Nice.
that. Yeah. I appreciate those little things. That's fun. No download code? I don't have these songs. No, I'm just kidding. That's the one time it's kind of unnecessary, right? Yeah, here you go. Here's one of the lithographs. It's cool. It's very frameable. It's an 8x10 basically.
Nice. Watch the
It's
cat.
got yeah, I know. You see, mine. This is my Rolling Stones album. Yeah, London. Look at that London Records Group sleeve
Cool.
printed. Good job, guys. ZZ Top is on London once again. Let's get into that.
Oh,
So
I didn't even know they were on London.
there
Well,
initially they were, yeah. So there you go. Nice little yellow print right there with the classic London label. Very cool. All right.
safe to say
Yep.
that just like any of the previous Stones RSDs, that's going to sound
Mm.
phenomenal.
There's no way it's not. Like I can already hear it in my head. Let's see here. Did we get two? It did kind of say plural in that write-up, didn't it? Lithographs.
I think so.
Let's see what this other sign has. Ooh. Oh, this is great. Uh, this sleeve. I'll do this last. Okay, so yeah, I got another lithograph. Looks like outtakes from the photo session. Isn't that cool? Yeah. That might have been in some of the packaging before. I don't know, but that's really neat. This is great. The other picture, it's like the other thing here. 211 reasons why the Rolling Stones is the world's greatest rock and roll band. It lists every song from every record
Wow.
up to that point. How great
Was
is that?
was that
211 songs.
was that included in original pressings, or is that?
I don't know. I guess I don't think I've ever had an original. The ones I always have came in generics.
Okay.
So
Nice.
yeah, but that's really neat. Maybe that was a press sheet, and they just put it in here for the sleeve. I don't know,
That's possible.
but that's really neat. I'm like little things like that. Aces, guys. By the way, since someone that's involved in this process might actually hear it, great job. That and this thing wasn't cheap either. Um, so yeah, that's probably another reason why some people might have balked on it. So I totally get it. But yeah,
Yeah, that was
gonna put
part
that.
of it. I think that was like around $70, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, no. Yeah, so I'm gonna keep that Obi shirt. It's gonna look like that in the sleeve. Looks great. Can't wait to spin it tonight. Nothing like Hot Rocks on a Saturday night, man. That's some good shit right there.
Good
So
shit.
good shit. So that's it. That's Joey's picks. Yeah, I don't have Lon Friend to take me out, but that's the rest of the stuff that I got for Record Store Day. But yeah, Kellogg's ad by the Monkees. That's what Record Store Day is all about.
Yeah. Before we close, just as we were talking about hardcore music with the Cro-Mags before,
Yeah.
so just in my curiosity as far as me being a fan of hardcore music, is any of the versions of Stepping Stone on any of those Three Monkeys releases?
Oh, yeah, I heard him, but I don't think I heard Stepping Stone when I played him. Because I played them back to back to back. I listened to them like all at the same time. So let's get through this again here. The only songs that have been on other records or are notable that people would know is there's an alternate version of Valerie. I think it's like a versus single version or something like that. I Want to Be Free, I'll Be Back on My Feet, Words, the theme song. There's a live version of Circle Sky. And I'd tell you, Stepping Stone is definitely not on any of these. And there's no like notable covers, for instance, although some of these songs were written by other people, like the people that helped write those songs back in the day, Boyce and Hart, Goffin and King. No Harry Nilsson songs that I could tell. I was kind of hoping for a Harry Nilsson outtake, but don't see one on here. Very happy I was able to get that because I felt like because of the price, if I thought about doing Hot Rocks later, it'd still be out there, and they probably still are, honestly. Because I mean, it's been pressed so many times. That'd have kind of been like if they'd have put Beatles Blue or Red out for Record Store Day and just put a book inside of it. I get that. I'd say the Haven't Heard It gem out of it is probably the Susie Quattro. It's a lot of fun. It's good. It's it's riding the wave between power pop, punk, and glam rock. It's kind of a little bit of everything, and even like bubblegum, teeny bopper stuff. But there's that cool punk element to it. If you just know her from Happy Days, that's also cool.
Yeah, that's
Like it's just cool. It's just cool to hear her on stage owning it, like at a time where that still wasn't much of a thing. And even before the Runaways really popped off, she was already doing it before that. So, but yeah, she's technically a one-hit wonder in the States, which is kind of weird considering how catchy her stuff is. But it's a song called "Stumbling In." So if you were around in the 70s, you might have heard it, maybe even regionally. But yeah, she should be in the Hall of Fame for sure. Anyway, I said my piece on that. Titanic still sucks.
okay. So I guess we can close on that note as far as the records. I think these Record Store Day drops were pretty good as far as the releases we got. Everything that I purchased, I was happy with. Looking forward to the next one for Black Friday, and maybe we'll get Tesla Mechanical Resonance. That one was dropped off the list, and Mr. Big Lean Into It on red vinyl. The Tesla was supposed to be on blue vinyl, so I'm anticipating those. I actually saw Mr. Big or Billy Sheehan made some announcement about Lean Into It that it's definitely going to be re-released in November to celebrate the 30-year anniversary.
So it might be a Black Friday RSD instead, but that record sold well enough. And so the Tesla one, they should just get regular releases. I don't understand I think it's this one particular label. I'm like, are you so much of an upstart that you can't just regularly press these records? I don't get that. But that all being said, those particular kind of albums have really got my wheels spinning. Like, man, there's certain albums I want on vinyl from that era, like that melodic hard rock into heavy metal era from the 90s. And I know that there's limited appeal. I get it. I'm realistic about these things. Like, I'm even saying, like, man, I understand that Motley Crue disowns their John Corabi album for personal reasons, but Record Store Day, that John Corabi album should be a Record Store Day thing. Subhuman Race by Skid Row.
Yes.
I need that in my life.
Me too.
And I need like a David Lee Roth, Your Filthy Little Mouth. I need that in my life. Mm-hmm. Hell, even Diamond Dave, the Magna Carta release that he put out.
I
need that on vinyl too. Yeah, I need it. I need to complete the set. I'm pretty much have all the 45s and the 12 inches and the picture disc. I need a complete Roth on wax. Help me out, guys. I'll even take Friday at this point. I don't want it, but I'll take it. If you're listening out there, somebody do it. That fly-by-night label that's holding the Tesla records hostage and the Cinderella records hostage. Get some Roth in your life. Get some Subhuman Race. I mean, Still Climbing should happen at some point, right?
Yeah, Cinderella. Rest in peace, Jack.
I mean, especially now. Yeah, exactly. And I hate that it's under those circumstances, but that's got to happen now, right? Yeah. You would think.
Yeah.
That's a good segue to get out of here, right?
Yeah, I think so. Just want to wrap up and talk about some of our other shows here at cnjradio.com. Obviously, we'll start with your show, Rock Strikes 10. What's coming up in the canon and what's currently out there right now? A cat?
Look at this bullshittery, man.
Those that are not watching on YouTube, there is lots of cattery going on right now. So got to tune into the YouTube channel to see all this cattery.
Yeah. Once again, cat videos of cats being assholes. Okay, now that I've got your attention and people love cat videos, Go to cnjradio.com. Check out the Rock Strikes 10 podcast. I will be doing the top 20 video countdown on a radio show for MTV's 40th anniversary this week.
Nice.
Also, because it's so important, I decided to delay the Dusty Hill tribute and expand it into a ZZ Top Rock and Rank special. We're going to count down and rank the ZZ Top catalog, in my opinion, and in the cat's opinion. It's going to be awesome. And as you know, I love me a countdown show, so I will take this as seriously as I do the other ones. Plus, I'm from Texas, so it's going to have to be great. So I guarantee it. Top 20 video countdown, ZZ Top Rock and Rank. Eventually, the episode will recover the Hella Mega Tour with my wife. That's going to happen. So tune into that. Also check out Wrestling House Show, Talking Rock, Last Theater, I Am Vinyl, and the Synaptic Empire featuring Randy Brown, True Alternative. Also a pet owner, but he has dogs. That's why he never sends episodes, because they bark all day. God, man.
All right. Well, the cat just does not want us to sign off, but we're going to have to do it anyway. So again, Joey, it was great talking with you about the latest Record Store Day releases. And
Likewise, yeah.
I'll look forward to the next one with Black Friday. But before Black Friday, we do have some other episodes that I have in mind that are going to be coming up sooner rather than later. So, and for those that have tuned in and have heard the Kiss Roundtable episodes, I do plan on recording the next one for Creatures of the Night coming up very soon. So I'm thinking of recording that one for a September release. So if anybody's been wondering, that one is on the list. So for now,
we're going to do a quick stump the trunk on Creatures of the Night real quick, just to see if the rest of the roundtable listens and watches this show.
Yeah.
If you ask them during the episode, you'll know who listens and who doesn't. You ready? Pete.
I'm ready. Ask me.
What is the only song on Creatures of the Night where the touring lineup plays on it in full? I'm talking Paul, Gene, Vinny, and Eric. What is the only song on Creatures that's performed by those four guys and nobody else?
Is it I Love It Loud? Damn.
The answer is the worst song on the album, Keep Me Coming.
Oh, is it really? Wow.
It is. Yeah, so you roundtable guys, when Pete asks you that on the episode, he's going to know if you're watching and listening or not. So
I'm a cheater. Joey gave me the answers. I'm sorry, guys.
Yeah.
Well, that's a good way for us. I think that's a good way for us to sign off.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you for accepting my non-professionalism in cats.
Well, look, we expect the unexpected here at the I Am Vinyl podcast, and it was a good time. I just thank everybody who is tuning in on either the I Am Vinyl podcast network on cnjradio.com or here on YouTube. I just thank everybody for tuning in, checking out the show, and we'll see you all next time on our next episode.
Be a good person.
Yeah, don't be a shithead.
Yeah, you rubberhead.
Don't be a dick.